lot of healthy competition there. Kind of like what we talked about a lot. There's a lot of, I think, emerging options there. It's a daily competition, and all those guys have had their moments for sure, and also have their moments where they've got to get better.
What is Luke's job in lifting up that group and building that connection?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely an important part of, the communication he has, verbally, non-verbally, us being in the meeting room together, watching film together, and getting on the same page. That takes time. Working during the summer helps, and I feel like we're really heading the right way there as far as from a chemistry standpoint.
Along those lines, not to dwell on last year, but Luke had that guy in Pat who felt comfortable just tossing the ball up too, and he was going to come down. Do you see a guy emerging, or maybe a couple guys emerging as that type of playmaker on this year's club?
Yeah, I think we have a lot of guys that can make plays, and I think to your point, like this, we're really starting to take shape of what the 25, offense looks like, and that the pieces that went on last year have obviously made an impact on what we were doing, and I think one of the things that's cool about going into six practices or the first week is like the identity of our offense this year and who we have now is really starting to come to life, and it's been fun to watch. And I think all those guys have. I mean, I could probably literally find a clip for every one of them that made a really outstanding play in one-on-one. We just need it on a consistent basis.
You mentioned that identity. Is it you're multiple years here now? Do you feel like your offense has evolved into a specific identity? What do opposing coaches? What jumps out at them when they scout your offense?
Well, I would hope that that our belief and the way we try to approach things is we play the game the right way. That we try to play with good fundamentals and physicality, and use the running game as a friend to the quarterback and play actions. And I think that I would hope that they would feel that and see that and respect that. And because certainly I've been with Coach now for 9 years. His teams have always had a pretty clear-cut identity. We hadn't always had that here since I've been here. At times we've lacked some of the physicality, or just the consistency, in the running part of it, and the passing at time, and so my hope and desire is that when people turn the film on, they would see a well-rounded, complete, balanced offense that's physical.
Has the raw talent jumped out at you about Cole Russ this fall? I mean, is that something you can't miss?
Well, I saw Cole last year a little bit before he got injured, and he's as anybody's coming off of a critical injury like that, he's slowly, surely, steadily, really starting to unleash his comfort level and his skill set. He's got a nice skill set. He's just getting better and better every day, and that's the goal for everybody at camp. And if he'll continue to do that, he'll be able to impact our football team in a positive way.
You echo the sentiments of your boss, Coach B, that what's going on at tackle right now could be a blessing because you're getting looks at guys that need to show themselves on the first team.
Yeah, I think reflective of last year at camp, Kreutz, I think, was down for, I can't remember what it was, a little window, period of time that allowed us to, shuffle some guys around and get some experience. I think that's always a positive thing, that when guys get put in situations where they're uncomfortable or they have to expand their role and play a different position, whether it be a receiver or a lineman. I think that's always positive. So it is what it is, and I do believe that those things are disguised blessings in large part for the long-term benefit of your team.
Is there any challenge with that, with a group that's experienced? What is the challenge of not having 3 of your top tackles in a practice or 2 or however long?
Well, I mean, in a practice setting, I don't know if there is probably just the volume of reps and the, how that's spread out between, the physical practice and the long practices, and a lot of reps. That's putting some stress on some other guys. They've done a great job of just taking what they get and taking a shot of water, and here we go again. And so it puts a little stress on the depth piece of the puzzle. We're all limited by a certain amount of depth at our positions, and when you get thin, it puts a little stress on those other guys. So we're anxious to get them back when we can.
When it comes
with 3 young quarterbacks on the roster, how much of resources may look better for those guys?
Yeah, a fair amount. I think a good amount. I think obviously a lot of it is probably what you would say, through osmosis, to a certain degree of just watching him operate, being in the meeting room, listening to the interaction that him and I have. And obviously, between Art and myself and Mike New, who's an analyst with us that helps, with that position, we got a lot of guys pouring into those guys. And so every rep that they get mentally or physically is really helping shape their, who they are and what their future is going to be. But Luke's a great, I would think he's a great, example of growth, adversity, maturity, humility, but also has got strong leadership skills. So I think he's a great example for them in those ways. And that's ultimately the best way to lead, is to do your job and do it well, because other people follow that.
When it comes to Luke, where do you want to see him take a step forward this season to take his game to another level?
A lot of areas, and I know he would say that and has said that in a lot of areas, just A to Z. There's always something to improve on, a lot of things to improve on, leading our team. Just our feet is a big deal, the footwork, and he's really been sharp during camp. Been really pleased with what he's looked like and the improvements there, the intentionality he is with just the fundamentals and the details of the position, and then just the overall command of the offense. He's in complete command of that right now, and really pleased with that. So we want to put him in the best position he can be, because if he plays well, it's going to be good for our team.
What have you seen from Brandon Henderson? He was a guy pushing a year ago, and now he's kind of a returning starter. What have you seen from him?
I've really been pleased with Brandon. I think his experience at snapping the ball some has helped him. He's played. I mean, golly, we've talked about that. He's played a lot of positions, and caught ball. We know, and but played tight end, tackle, guard, center. He's very versatile, but really kind of anchoring in on that spot at, as far as right guard. And I think he's getting better and better every day, and he's very athletic, and he's really playing with good fundamentals right now, and really been pleased with seeing that.
I guess speaking of Brandon's touchdown, he said that the word now is like teams know that he's obviously a target in the passing game, so maybe no more touchdown, big touchdowns.
I think he might be retired in that area.
Where's Trey Petty at in his development? What have you seen from him?
I've been pleased with Trey, his return to camp, and just his moments that he's had and the opportunities. Most of our reps are being poured into the first two guys, but he's inevitably had a handful of those opportunities every day, in which he would want more. All those guys would want more, and that's just the nature of the business. But I've been pleased with his response to the early start of fall camp, and excited to see what he does heading into the weekend.
In what ways could Saturday in the scrimmage kind of shape what the 25 offense could look for you guys?
Well, I think you put an exclamation point on a week, of really development, and inevitably, like, once you come out of this week, you're to a large degree, your squad's kind of being set. And so at some positions, including the ones we've talked about, mostly the ones we've talked about going into camp, tight end and receivers, there's a lot of guys getting a lot of reps, a lot of guys doing some really good things, and like who's going to really emerge through Saturday, I think is a big deal. And so all of our scrimmages are a big deal for everybody, but those guys in particular, be a big opportunity for them to continue to solidify who they are and what they can bring to the table.
How was your tight end room changed with the addition of not only Cole but the other two transfers?
Yeah, that's been a nice part. I think we really did a nice job in acquisition there, and got a couple of guys that have some experience and maturity, and they each have their own strengths and their skill set, and they've been really nice complements to what we're trying to get done in the rooms. Add nice depth, has taken some of the stress off some of the other guys, and so it's been good to see them, and they've both have brought some nice things to the table.
We've at times talked about Jordan Anderson and his versatility, but is there anything you can or would like to do to unlock some of that versatility within your offense?
Well, there's certain things that we would, I think that he does afford you to do that ultimately will probably be unfolded, later in the season. I know what you're. Yeah, certainly. He's an interesting character, and in what he presents to the team, and like this guy's as good as gold. I mean, like he stands for everything good in this business, and just what football is. He's tough, he's smart, he's dependable, he's versatile, he's unselfish, and I could go on and on about him. He's smart. I mean, he's made a really nice catch last night in the team setting. That he's got a lot of versatility. You can hand the ball to him, you can throw the ball to him. He can block for people and helps on special teams. I'm a big Jordan Anderson fan, and we're going to continue to try to figure out ways to, find ways to accentuate his flexibility.
Coach, I know you can't talk about unsigned kids, but quarterback recruiting seemed to have kicked that up a notch. And what are those kids buying into? What are they seeing? And how big of a role does Art play in that? Well,
Art plays a huge role in that. I mean, he's a go-getter, and he's a bulldog, and it's the way he goes about everything. I learned that early on when I coached him when he was playing for me. A quarterback is a bulldog, and that's the way he goes about everything. How he does one thing, he does everything. That's recruiting, that's development, it's relationships, it's doing the scripts, it's doing individual. He's very passionate, and his passionate nature is infectious, and people people on the outside of the building via recruiting, whether it's a quarterback or not, they feel that, and he's so convicted about what he feels in the building and his success that he's had here, and Coach Bielema, just seeing what Coach B's done in the program, it's easy for him to sell what we're doing, and on top of that, obviously the season we had, the success we had, and that's the draw, so those two things align. And you would say that quarterbacks have had success in this offense, and we want that to continue to happen to make this place a super attractive place for top quarterbacks across the country, Portal, high school, whatever they want to come play in this system. But Art's a huge part of that.
Barry, Mike New, what kind of resources has he been, former head coach, play caller like that?
Yeah, he's been awesome. He's been we really, when we set out to the second year to fill that void that was a huge void for many reasons. That we didn't really put any parameters on it, and just kind of putting feelers out, and we just felt like it was just the perfect get for us. And Mike's awesome. He's super experienced with the quarterback position, but just as a head coach, he's got insight and wisdom. He's right there with us on offense. He's super helpful and super insightful. I mean, sure, we got a guy here that coached one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time in the NFL, in Drew Brees, and who got to see and watch and help him, help guide him through his career and learn from him. And he learned from Mike. It's just our quarterbacks really listen. He's helped us tremendously. He's had a huge impact on us, and and there's no doubt that will continue during the fall. So we're thrilled to have Mike, and he's a huge asset for us.
We'll do one more after this one, and then move on to Luke.
Kind of broad. You've been with Brett for a little bit now. What have you learned about how to run a program, just overall?
Well, he's obviously going on his 17th year. I mean, when he first got hired at my alma mater, I was coaching high school, and when our school hired him, a school that meant a lot to me, means a lot to me. When I was like, man, this. I had a lot of respect from Coach just from a distance. I didn't know who he was, and the success he had at Wisconsin, and just the way he ran his program, the way they played. And I was like, man, this is. Geographically, it was kind of a what you say, a news story, I guess, a little bit, or just in general, not just it was kind of shockwaves a little bit through. And I mean, I was super excited as a alum there, that I thought this was going to be a great thing, and I thought Coach did a lot of really good things at Arkansas, and just getting a chance to work with him was like man, it was just such a thrill for me, and to learn from him on a daily basis. He's so great at not just directly but indirectly mentoring all of us. He's made me a better coach. He's made me a better man. I just got a lot of respect for him, and he's that way with our players. He's that way with our coaches. Going on year 9, and I learn from him every day. And he's what makes this thing tick. And he's got a special gift to lead and develop and mentor, and very appreciative of my time underneath him.